Hi, this is Kaisha McCray. I'm the owner and founder of Growing Perspectives Career Consulting Company, where I specialize in supporting early and mid-career professionals to successfully transition through their careers, support leaders to grow and further develop their skills, and provide customized training to teams and groups, all around strengthening your team. You can follow me on social media on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and I'm committed to your success. And I have a passion for supporting your growth and supporting you to thrive in your career.
RBA's leading social enterprise show. On the mic with Mike King Biz, delivering food for thought. To find out more about the dynamic host of On the Mic with Mike, please visit his website at mikekingbiz.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike King here. This is part of the Mike King Biz Media Network, ESPN Richmond 106.1 International Business Court Radio, Saturdays 10 a.m. in the East, as well as what we do is we talk to the best and the brightest. We have a program coming out on CW Richmond TV. It is the Purpose Panel with CEOs who understand giving back to the community and using the power of their business. What we do is we talk to the best and the brightest, and today is no exception. There's a business in town. A lot of times people see the structure and don't really know what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Toler is here. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, and I think you hit the nail on the head.
So I used to work at CW and NBC 12 and used to wonder what the building was across the street. So tell folks who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I run an organization here called Evergreen Enterprises. And Evergreen Enterprises has a couple things, but we are probably the world's largest manufacturer, distributor, and designer of decorative flags that go in your yard or in your house. And that is the business. It was started here 30 years ago by Ting Xu in her home and in her garage, designing and manufacturing and sewing flags with her parents. And it has grown from there. She started the business selling the flags at the state fair and then moved into wholesale and then moved to this campus maybe 25 years ago, the building, which is the former shopping center that we have recreated and reconfigured to what it is today, which is a manufacturing facility, distribution facility, design facility. And then Mike, you got to come and check it out. We just completed the installation of a robotic picking solution in one of our facilities now that is servicing picking our orders to send to our clients.
One of the things we always talk about business leaders starting something. I was on a program, I had a friend of mine that interviewed Ting a while back. That is truly the American success story. That is what America is all about. People coming here, living their dream, and then turning that dream into something that people are able to live off of and feed their families for years and years.
Oh yeah. I think she's a remarkable woman. I think to your point, coming here from China, studying, working for the state, and then starting this business with her parents here and what it's become today, and the reach, because our business is not only here in Richmond, we also own and operate a company called Plow and Hearth, Wind and Weather, and Viva Terra. These are direct-to-consumer companies distributing products via catalog and web. We own a Canadian subsidiary that's responsible for distribution of our products up there. And then we own and operate manufacturing and distribution facilities in Ningbo, China. So from kind of what she started in her garage 30 years ago now, employs probably over 1,000 people globally across 3 countries.
Let me ask you, when you look at what is the move for going into 2024 international business? What do you see right now?
Are you specifically referencing kind of the tensions between China and the United States, or just kind of what we're seeing around the globe right now in terms of retailers?
Retailers.
Yeah. So I think right now, many of the categories we sell, remember we're in decorative flags, fire pits, home decor, home accents, and we sell those both retail and wholesale. Those were categories that had a ton of consumption during COVID. And I kind of call it a lot of the pull forward demand or over consuming of our products during the COVID period. What we have seen in 2023 is a shift from maybe things for my house, maybe things for me, or I'm going to take that trip or travel. So let's call it from goods, consumption of goods to services. And that has had an adverse impact on us in terms of demand we're seeing through our various channels. So, we've had a tough year in 2023. We have just started last week to engage with our retailers around North America around Christmas for 2024. That's how our business works. We kind of sell 6-8 months in advance. And the retailers are coming off of okay Christmas, okay fourth quarter retail, depending on the region and depending on the channel. Their inventories, which were a problem in terms of too much inventory, they've cleaned a lot of that up. And I think we're hoping for modest growth going into 2024.
As we were smack dab in the middle of COVID, business world, everything was turned on its head. And now you look at that, some people had some pretty good business times during the COVID era. So now you look at that and you guys are like, 2023 was kind of tough. And when we look at that, we're saying, wow, a lot of businesses are saying, hey, we survived, we thrived during COVID, but 2023 things kind of went back to possibly the new normal.
Yes, and I would say if you take kind of your that statement, if you were to trend line 17, 18, 19, and then insert 20, 21, 22, 23, I think 24 is getting back to, let's call it the normal trend lines we're seeing. And so while we're disappointed in our 23 result, we're coming off of the best years the company has ever had in 21 and 22. So it is a bit of the new normal, the reshuffling of let's call it the consumption between goods and services. I think, maybe we thought the world was going to change in terms of our categories and our consumption. I think what we're finding is we're getting back to normal.
So you guys have celebrated 30 years. The new normal, let's talk about some of the highlights that you guys have put out a video. Let's talk about some of the highlights that you guys want everyone to know about the company over the course of the 30 years.
Well, I think the company over the 30 years, we are still founder-led, and I think that we're very proud of that. Ting, this is her passion. If you were to come into our office and meet our employees, there's a lot of long-term employees here. Generally, you come to Evergreen and you find a good home and you stay here. I've been here for 18 years. Matt, who's helping us with this program, has been here for 20 years. And it's not uncommon to find a lot of long-term Richmond-based employees who've been here 15 to 20 years. So I think we're excited about that. We're happy about that. We're excited about and proud of the investment we made in here in the south side of Richmond in this campus. This was obviously a shopping center that we have transformed. Everything, as I talked about, from the robotics we've put into the warehouse. We just completed a solar install on all of our buildings out here that powers not only our facility here, but then we sell power back to the, Dominion Power here. And I think, we're really proud of what we do here in terms of the products we design and manufacture, distribute, which people consume, that bring them joy, makes our homes the places they want to be. We do a lot of great things with the NFL, with Major League Baseball, with NHL, for the fans and those kinds of things. So kind of a long-winded answer, but I think we're happy about the products we make and the culture we put here.
When you start out with flags, how do you determine which markets to go to that are a fit?
So for decorative flags, that is a business, if you were to trace back its roots, kind of comes from the mid-Atlantic. And then I would also say, Mike, if you go to the Outer Banks, Kitty Hawk kites, you find a lot of kites and flags kind of tying together because of the movement in the products. I mean, before I came to Evergreen, I was selling decorative flags in the Midwest in the mid-90s. So I've been effectively selling decorative flags my entire professional career. But if you kind of get into it, it has some regionality to it, the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic. But it is really translated into, let's call it, North American thing, mostly. Decorative flags don't translate well into Europe. We find that a lot of times you're going to a European show, and I've done the Birmingham Trade Show. They look at it and say, that's a hummingbird or a cardinal in front of my house. I don't understand, but I do understand a flag of a nation or maybe a soccer team, right? So we started with the decorative elements, and then we acquired licensing, and we started doing Virginia Tech, UVA. We did collegiate licensing. That fan is a little bit different consumer, and you kind of extend your reach on the product piece type through licensing. And then we also, as I alluded to, we work with the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL, and other things, and that's how we continue to build it out, both in terms of geography and appeal.
On the Mike, John is here with us, Evergreen. So John, how can people find out information about Evergreen?
You can visit myevergreen.com online or myevergreenonline.com to learn about our wholesale businesses, our retail businesses, our plowandhearth.com, windandweather.com, and vivaterra.com.
Ready, John? All right, so we had just spoken about COVID a bit ago. You've been with the company 18 years. You guys were humming along, things were great, we were just chilling, having a great time, and then COVID showed up. And the world changed. And the world stayed that way for a couple of years. What did you guys learn from COVID that you didn't do before? But when it's over, you're going, hey, you know what, that thing kind of worked. We'll continue to do it.
Yeah, I would say I know the workplace challenges in running distribution centers and running call centers during COVID, like you've probably covered that. I think what's maybe be interesting to your business or kind of maybe your audience is that had a tremendous impact on our global supply chain because we import roughly, I think, about 2,000 containers a year, maybe a little bit more. And we're pulling from places like Indonesia, India, China, Vietnam, some out of Europe. And that had a huge impact on our business because we simply couldn't get goods, or the goods got very, very expensive in terms of the container rates. And let's call it the fragility of the supply chain was really exposed during COVID for us. And so we have done several things. We've spun up 3 or 4 made in America product offerings. So we've kind of brought some of that back on to basically take some of the fragility out of the supply chain. We've actually spun up manufacturing in our facility here, where we're making, mats for the Buffalo Bills and those kinds of things. And I think that was probably the big learning for us is diversification of supply chain, onshoring. There's some light manufacturing we can do, and imbalancing inventories.
If someone had told you guys you would have been in the manufacturing business 10 years ago, what would you have said?
No, no. I think, 10 years ago, we saw, or 15 years ago in our business, probably the opposite of more of and we have an adjacency in the furniture business. And the furniture business 15 years ago was being moved into places like Mexico and India and China versus brought back on or expanded in the United States. It's probably come back a little now. But yeah, I think that would have been my response is I did not see it coming this way. I would see it going the other way.
Alrighty, so whenever our business leaders in always talk about culture, and a lot of times organizations, they may not know what good culture is, but they know it. They know bad culture. They can see it a mile away around 2 corners.
Sure.
As a CEO, how do you set good culture?
I would say lead by example and engage with the teams. I think I've been here 18 years. I referenced a lot of the employees have been here a long time. Ting is still here every day. And I think I always say there's a pay it forward in terms of your behaviors, your actions, and how you treat people. And if you pay it forward every day, when times do get tough, and you ask the individuals to maybe come into work during COVID or do this or do that, or maybe do some difficult stuff, or like we had a very tough year last year, those individuals be like, hey, Ting's been here for me for the last 30 years. She demonstrates by example. That's kind of, I think, how we do it as a leadership team. Is the way I do it. I mean, I walk through distribution centers every day, every morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm out there talking to the guys. How are we doing? What's working? We have our sales teams in the showroom today. What they're next? How are we doing? What's going on? Engaging with customers. We have new employees here today. How are you doing? What can I do to help? Those kinds of things.
All right, on the mic, Mike, the best business radio program around. John is with us. My Evergreen. We're talking business. You're a global business with your Richmond business, but you do business on a global scale. How do you walk that line of being a Richmond business, but a lot of the relationships and a lot of things you do are spread around the world?
Sure. So I just returned from 10 days in China, and I was in Shanghai, and we've got a IT development office there. And then I was in Ningbo, which is south of Shanghai, and that's where we manufacture our decorative flags. And we've got an 80-person office there, a sourcing office. And when I'm working with those folks, I find, especially the global pieces, is it's good to be there and be in person. And talk to them about their concerns and talk to them about the projects and collaborate. I mean, we're a product business, and so we spend a lot of time in showrooms looking at products, getting excited, and those kinds of things. I think that is my approach, our approach. I think it can be the tensions in between the United States and China right now have made it tough at times. But I think going over there and working with our team and seeing that we're there, and then we try to bring as many of those team members over here as possible to kind of work in Richmond. And if you can kind of get that glue between the U.S. and China, or our U.S. and Canadian teams together, it really helps. We flew all of our Canadian employees in here in December, took over the train station, did a great 30th anniversary celebration. But that getting people together and culture is great to overcome, let's call it, distances.
So when you had asked about, so when we look at the tensions between the U.S. and China, but you're just there as a business, you have business people there in China. You guys are working together, making it happen where the nations may be having some issues. What's that like when you're there talking that you and the person there, everything's fine between you guys, but the two nations have to work things out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we candidly will discuss the geopolitical tensions between, you've got a Taiwanese election coming up here. That's probably going to be maybe a bigger hot button issue than our presidential election. We acknowledge and we discuss, but I don't try to insert what I think should happen or those kind of things. And conversely, when I'm working with our vendor partners or employees over there, they aren't, talking to me about what we should do. We just try to stick to business. Our relationships, our general manager over in Ningbo has been there for 25 years, right? I mean, that continuity really helps. We acknowledge it, we discuss it, but we kind of focus on the task at hand and what we're trying to execute on.
So John, there's a young person in college now looking to find their way. Let's talk about the opportunities with My Evergreen as well as in that space. You say you've been in it for a good while. It's done you well. There's a person out there trying to find their way right now.
Yeah, so I think if you're trying to get into, my business is wholesale distribution of gift garden and home products broadly. There's a couple entry points. A lot of the successful executives in the wholesale distribution started actually out in retail. Understanding the end consumer, understanding the retail environment is a good pathway to then get into the wholesale distribution business. So I think retail is a good way to go. And then you can come out the other way, which we hire a lot of college students out of VCU, because a lot of what they come in and do is they design our products. These are all, there's an inspiration behind it, be it a Santa Claus or a cardinal. And so if you want to come out from the product design standpoint, that's another good one. And then your career path will be up through product development. And then that touches supply chain, touches sourcing, touches some of the other things. I mean, those would probably be two ways to get at wholesale distribution, or you can do it my way. I started as a salesperson. My territory was Southern Illinois. I came out of school, took a sales territory, went to grad school at night, and sold B2B.
Being a salesperson who masquerades as a radio talk show host, much love to sales guys out there. That you will find a salesperson everywhere because they make things, we try and make things happen, but we really quickly, I just thought about that. salespeople were out there trying, and I had an operations person on, and I said, boy, salespeople are out there killing it. And she says, from an operations standpoint, that makes me nervous because, salespeople are out there making promises, closing deals, and the operations end of the organization really has to make that happen. How do you keep conversation good like that between, say, sales and marketing, operations? Let's talk about the lines of communication in a business.
Yeah, so I think really kind of the core issue there is what I see is the breakdown in coordination. We're selling inventory we don't have, we're signing up for deals we don't have, or we're not selling the inventory we do have and those kinds of things. So it is tough, and especially to your point about sales folks, they're out there to sell and they want to make it happen, and they will stretch and break the barriers of what is actually feasible. I start my Mondays at 9 a.m. with all of my channel leaders, and we talk about what we saw last week, what we're working on, those kinds of things. And then usually before then, I'm working with all of our operations folks or immediately afterwards and trying to basically close those gaps between those functional silos, because if they get out of whack, it can really, in the end, it's a poor customer service, a poor customer experience, right?
That is
So
true.
I spend a lot of time with the distribution centers, product development, inventory, as well as our channel leaders, because they can tend to maybe want to throw stones at one another in terms of one thing or the other.
Yes, sir. I have been there with the salespeople trying to make deals happen. So, John, I'd like to thank you. My Evergreen is out there making it happen. I got to come to the campus. Also, tell Ting I said hello. Really quickly, one last time, how can you let people know how they can find information out about you?
Yeah, so you can find more about Evergreen Enterprises on, as Mike referenced, myevergreen.com, myevergreen online, or plowandhearth.com.
There you go. On Mike with Mike, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, John. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Bye-bye.